In this video, we're going to demonstrate how to use the Forth Armoury templates and mandrel to make a 69 caliber US expanding ball cartridge. The dimensions for these templates come from a work entitled Reports of Experiments with Small Arms for the Military Service by the United States War Department from January 1st, 1856. Now, prior to 1861, the US expanding ball cartridges were a three-piece affair. So you had an external wrapper or an outer wrapper that contained the bullet, as well as an internal powder chamber, which consisted of an inner wrapper and a stiffener. So to get started, you're going to need paper. This paper is a roll of masking paper that you can get from any big box home improvement store. It's about the consistency of newsprint, and it's a unbleached, cheap, inexpensive paper. For the stiffener, you're going to need a heavier paper, which the Ordnance Manual refers to as rocket paper. This also comes on rolls from the big box home improvement stores, and it's just a heavier grade of masking paper. So to get started, we'll have to use our templates to cut out some paper. So you're going to need a sharp razor knife, and you're going to hold the template down on the paper and carefully keep your fingers out of the way. You're going to cut the paper using the template as a guide. And of course, you can cut multiple layers at one time and knock out a whole bunch of these rather quickly. Then we're also going to need, using the same paper, the inner wrapper. Looks like I might have missed the edge there. There. And then finally, you need a stiffener for the inner wrapper, or for the powder chamber rather. Goes with the inner wrapper. So these are the three pieces of paper made out of the two different kinds of paper that you'll need for making the 69 caliber expanding ball cartridge. So the first thing we'll need to do is make the powder chamber. The powder chamber is made of the inner wrapper and the stiffener. And you position the stiffener on top of the outer wrapper as shown. The inner wrapper as shown. So the bottom edge here should be flush, and these two corners should be coincident with each other. And the inner wrapper extends beyond the edge of the stiffener, and we'll see why here in just a minute. You're going to take your mandrel and position the flat end flush with the edge of the stiffener, and then we're going to roll them up. At this point, we're going to fold part of the wrapper over the end of the mandrel and do the same thing on that side until you have two little ears. The Ordnance Manual calls for paste, but I find some Elmer's glue or woodworking glue does the trick just fine. And then you're going to fold these ears on top of one another, like so. And then you'll remove it from the mandrel and set it aside to dry. I've already made some up, so here's one that's already dried and ready to go. So the next step is to roll up the outer wrapper and our stiffener, powder chamber rather, and you're going to put the powder chamber back on the mandrel, and you're going to need a bullet. This is a 69 caliber expanding ball bullet. It's got a hollow cavity, so it would expand with the force of the charge going off, which would make the bullet take up the rifling. You're going to want to position the mandrel and the powder chamber and the bullet so that you've got about a ½ inch or so extra room between the nose of the bullet and this long end of the trapezoid. Then you can set the bullet aside. Now, one thing I've noticed here with this pattern, and this, like I said, comes from that report, this dimension is only 2½ inches long, and that's barely enough to wrap around the mandrel. And as a result, the mandrel tends to want to unwrap itself, and so you're going to have to be a little careful with that. That's just a fidgety artifact of this particular pattern, historical pattern. So we're going to wrap up the mandrel like so. And then we're going to take the bullet and set it down inside like so. And then we're going to choke the end of the cartridge. So to do the choking, I've made a simple choking bench here. It's just a scrap piece of wood that I've secured a dowel rod in, and the dowel has a piece of string with another dowel on it that I can pull on to pull the string tight. So to choke the cartridge, you're going to wrap the string around the end of the cartridge just above the nose of the bullet, put your finger on top of it to keep it from collapsing, and then you're going to pull the string tight. And that creates a flower type arrangement on the end of your cartridge tube. Then you're going to take some linen cord. This is 3-ply linen cord, same thing they would have used in period. Wrap around one time, pull it tight, and then finish it off with 2 half hitches. And then take a pair of scissors and trim off the excess. And then push the flower down on the nose of the bullet. So you can see what I mean here, how it's trying to kind of unravel on itself. And that's just an artifact of this particular historical pattern. So then you're going to want to remove the mandrel. And now you've got a cartridge with a powder chamber in there. Then the charge for this would have been 70 grains of musket powder, which would then be poured inside the cartridge. And then to finish it, we're going to pinch off the tail in the usual manner. So you pinch down to the level of the stiffener and crease it like so. Fold it over like so, and then fold the tail in on itself to the middle, like so. Fold it back on itself and down the edge of the cartridge and give it a slight pinch. And that completes a 69 caliber US expanding ball cartridge using the pattern that predates the 1861 Ordnance Manual. We'll cover the 1861 pattern in another video.